There's been a new discovery about Joy-Con drift that claims to be a permanent cure. After some use, a Joy-Con thumbstick might start to move to one side on its own. So you might be playing a game and your character just starts walking on their own. It's a widespread issue, one that Nintendo is being sued over, and one that Nintendo won't admit that it has. But also, will fix for free if you call them up and send them your problem unit. I have never experienced this issue myself, but I also mostly just play in docked mode with a controller, so it makes sense that I don't use the Joy-Con for long enough to experience an issue like this. But I really want to try this new fix. So I gave myself drift. Ooh. Oh no. It was way harder than I thought it would be, but the fix, you'll be happy to know, seems to work like a charm. This video is sponsored by Satisfy. Ha! What are you doing here? How did you even fit in there? Anyway, if you like playing with the Joy-Cons in portable mode and you got big-ass hands like mine, you might be all too familiar with how uncomfortable the Switch can get after a long play session. And if you can relate, you should check out the Satisfy grip, the original ergonomic grip for the Switch that we've talked about many times here. The Zen grip features silicone tabs for a great fit that is not going to scratch your Joy-Con. And it works just fine with the new Zelda ones too. They're available for both the Switch and the Switch Lite with all different styles like clear ice. And case bundles with tons of accessories. Every Elite bundle comes with a shoulder strap and charging cable with a 56 ohm resistor, perfect for battery power banks. Get your own Satisfy grip or even a case bundle now during their summertime sale with stuff at their store up to 50% off. But if you use the code WOLFDEN, spelled like that, you'll get an additional 5% off. So use the link in the description below and that code and get yourself playing in portable mode for a little bit longer. You're still here? Get out. First, I'd like to say that if you have a Joy-Con that needs fixing, your best bet is to just send it into Nintendo for fixing. It's completely free and it only takes about a week. Will actually did this about a few years ago.
So I got my my left Joy-Con, my blue Joy-Con back from Nintendo. They fixed it for the drift. It took a while. I'm surprised how long it took. I think because I sent it out on a Friday, so it took a little over a week.
That's kind of a long time.
That's a very long time.
They should just send you a new one and then refurb that one. That's what they should do.
Yeah.
But I would only recommend sending in your Joy-Con if you have one of the standard neon red, neon blue, or gray Joy-Con, because Nintendo doesn't actually guarantee that you will get the same color Joy-Con back unless it's one of those. So if you have a special color or one of the limited edition Joy-Con, like if your brand new Zelda edition Joy-Con just start to drift, you might want to fix that yourself. Luckily, you don't have to open up the Joy-Con all the way in order to perform this fix, so it is very simple to do. Credit can be given to VK Channel's channel for finding the fix. I recommend watching his video. He goes into detail on what made him find this solution. But essentially, the previous theory was that the graphite pads under the thumbstick assembly would wear down over time. While this is still true, this might not necessarily be what causes the drift. The current theory is that the backplate, what holds the thumbstick together, might loosen over time, making the connection to the graphite pads weaker. The solution proposed by VK is to put a shim in there to make everything tighter. You can use a thick piece of paper or tape or a thin piece of cardboard. Or some people are even making their own 3D printed shims. If this turns out to be the solution, this would be awesome because it's easy enough to do for the average Joe with a Y00 screwdriver. So this is kind of a big deal, and I wanted to try it out for myself to confirm that this works so that I can then show it to you guys, and if you have this problem, you can fix it for yourself. But I have lots of Joy-Con, and none of them have drift. This weekend I was away with a bunch of people, and my friend Jerry said that his Joy-Con got drift. So I said, give me that Joy-Con right now. And I robbed him, and now I have his Joy-Con. So I took it home, I tested it, and I could not, for the life of me, find the drift. It worked perfectly fine for me. So for 2 days, I used the Joy-Con as like a fidget cube. I sat there furiously flicking the stick around to try to induce drift. Nothing. I even tried pressing really, really hard into the middle of the Joy-Con. Still nothing. After all this talk and controversy about Joy-Con drift, I'm honestly shocked at how resilient this thing turned out to be. After bringing this up, my other friend Leo claimed to have a pair with drift, and guess what? Same thing happened. You said you're 80% sure that one of these has drift?
Yes. That one.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
let's give it a whirl right now. This doesn't have drift, buddy.
Well, I guess I was wrong.
If you've ever experienced Joy-Con drift before, I can feel your frustration watching me try to get it and not get it. I think Nintendo's trying to just pull a big prank on me. This is what I get for talking about Mario fan games and emulators. I have a very quick turnaround time for videos. I try to get one out once a week. So I decided to just absolutely mutilate this Joy-Con to try to induce drift. I'm so sorry, Jerry. So I ripped it open, took out the thumbstick assembly, and broke all of the metal tabs off. Just, ooh. This made it so the backplate was completely off the thumbstick assembly. You can't get any looser than off. Obviously, this wasn't gonna work, so I super glued it back together. You'd think that this hack job would cause the thumbstick to go all wacky. Nope. I must have done a damn good job with that super glue, because after all that mutilation, I gave this Joy-Con the slightest hint of drift. It's such a small amount of drift that it was impossible for a game to register it. You can see here that it looks like it's pressed forward a little bit, because when I press back on the stick, it doesn't go all the way back. And I played for a little bit longer, and I rubbed it a little more, and I abused it some more. And then I fired up Rogue Company, because apparently that game allows you to set the stick dead zone to 0. And boom, my character moves on his own. Drift achieved! The character didn't always move on its own, and honestly, if this was like my daily driver Joy-Con, I wouldn't think anything of it. But we were able to prove that this thing has a problem. So now let's employ the fix. In order to do this, you need a Y00 screwdriver and a regular small Phillips head. I don't know the exact size for that. There's 4 Y-tip screws on the back and only 3 regular screws on the inside after you move the battery aside. So once you're inside, you only need to unscrew these 3 screws right here. Also, be careful of these ribbon cables. They are very delicate. You want to place the shim right behind the thumbstick assembly. I used an Apple USB-C cable box, which has really thin cardboard. It's basically like thick paper. I tried 1 piece, and that didn't quite give enough pressure. So then I tried 3 pieces, and that was way too much. The Joy-Con wouldn't even close. 2 seem to be perfect. So whatever paper you're using, your results will vary. You want just enough so it feels tight when it's closing up, but you still want it to be able to close without stripping all of the screws. This tightness is what is keeping the Joy-Con from drifting. And like magic, there's no drift. At first, I still wasn't able to pull the stick back all the way, but after a short play session, it seemed to have evened itself out. I think the paper shim just needed some time to settle. But this seems like it fixed whatever issue I induced on my Joy-Con myself. Now, is this a permanent solution like everybody's claiming? I think it's a little too early to tell, but I think chances are that it probably is at least a somewhat permanent solution. If you perform this fix yourself and you do end up getting Joy-Con drift again down the line, you can either just put more paper in there to try to increase the pressure more, or replace the paper that's already in there. The big discovery here is that the graphite being worn down might not necessarily be the problem. The problem seems to be that the back plate is losing pressure, but I suspect it could be both, because when you're putting that shim in there or that paper, you're increasing the pressure, and that would fix the issue no matter what part caused it. So if you do succumb to the Joy-Con drift and don't want to send it into Nintendo for whatever reason, this is easy enough for you to fix yourself. I'll leave an Amazon affiliate link in the description for that iFixit toolkit that I use. It's a bit overkill for just this one project because you really only need 2 of the bits in here. But I've been asked about it before, and I bought this one way back when I did my first Joy-Con shell swap. Now, this isn't going to necessarily get me to use my Joy-Con more, but I will periodically check back on this one to see if it's holding up. Maybe while I'm using my Satisfy grip, use code WolfDen! So what do you guys think about this Joy-Con drift fix? Have you tried it for yourself? Is this something you're willing to try now? Again, unless you've done stuff like this before, I'd recommend just sending it back to Nintendo. But if you've done stuff like this before and want to try it for yourself, absolutely go for it. But let me know what you think in the comments down below, at me on Twitter, and all of this other social media garbage. A lot of what you saw here was taken from a live stream over on twitch.tv/WolfDen, where I was trying to induce drift on here, and that got distilled onto a clips video over on WolfDen Clips if you want to see a YouTube video of me purposely trying to get drift and getting very frustrated. But of course, the most important things that you can do to help support this channel is just subscribe right here and only click that bell if you want the new videos, and you're gonna click those notifications because that helps us out tremendously. And share this video with a friend who might have succumbed to the drift and could use an easy solution like this. Thank you very much. Have yourself a very good week.